This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 9th day of September in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here is what we're tracking tonight. Police investigators on the west coast of Berbice have found themselves investigating yet another murder in the area, as protest action and reports of violent attacks have been increasing. The body of 17-year-old Harish Singh was found around midday in the back dam of No. 3 Village, West Coast, Berbice today. According to the crime chief, Wendell Blenheim, the body was found with a wound to the head. The crime chief also confirmed that the young man is the grandson of one of the suspects who was in custody for the double murder of cousins Isaiah and Joel Henry, who were murdered last weekend. In a subsequent statement today, the Guyana police force said the teenager Harish Singh was killed during the hours of this morning. He was last seen alive leaving his home on his motorcycle this morning to attend his farm in the back dam of No. 3 Village, West Coast, Berbice. According to the police, the teen's relatives saw smoke rising from the same back dam and they went to inquire. His body was found lying motionless and bleeding from the nose, while his motorcycle was also discovered burnt. He was rushed to the New Amsterdam hospital where doctors pronounced him dead. The police force said investigators are on the ground continuing their probe into the latest murder in the area, which has been rocked by widespread protests following the double murder last weekend. The police force also stated that the murder of Harish Singh took place even as it assured citizens that the force will leave no stone unturned during the investigation. The force said it wishes to go on record to say that it will pursue the investigation of Harish Singh's murder with the same intensity that it has been doing for the murders of Joel and Isaiah Henry, and will most certainly bring the perpetrators to justice. The Commissioner of Police, Nigel Hoppy, has issued another warning to citizens to desist from all unlawful acts, which threaten to further deteriorate law and order in the country. The force said failure to desist, all efforts will be made to prosecute offenders to the fullest extent of the law. More news coming up in a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
And risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
Regardless of race,
class or religion.
We
are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Falls, the official distributors of Castrol Marine, Mining and Power Gen lubricants in Guyana, now has in stock CRB engine oils, high-spin hydraulic oil, Vecton semi-synthetic truck oils, and Sultex cylinder oils. For the best prices, check our dealers countrywide or visit Falls Gas Station at Land of Canaan, East Bank, Demerara, or call the commercial manager on 608-4998. Castrol, it's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
For all the Zoom hashouts and recipe tryouts, the world changed and we were right there, standing with you, always near, getting closer in so many ways, laughing together as we face these days. And because we are Caribbean, we've got a special insight that tells us there's no need to worry, world. We'll be all right.
Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
We all know a strong educational foundation is a key to successful learning. Global Technology combines award-winning curriculum with innovative technology and teacher support to help students reach their potential. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how global technology can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Welcome back. The post-mortem examination on the bodies of teenage cousins Joel and Isaiah Henry was completed this morning at the Memorial Gardens mortuary here in Georgetown. The post-mortem examination found that the two young men died from multiple chop wounds to various parts of their bodies, including to their backs, which resulted in their spines being severed. In the case of 18-year-old Joel Henry, the pathologist found that he sustained 18 wounds to various parts of his body. He was chopped several times to the head, and there were injuries to his two hands that made it appear as though he was trying to block the attacks. Attorney Nigel Hughes, who accompanied the family of the teen cousins to the post-mortem examination, explained that in both cases it appeared as though the two teenagers were first chopped to their heads, then chopped to their backs after they fell to the ground. 16-year-old Isaiah Henry was also chopped multiple times to his body, including to his head and the back of his neck. Like his older cousin, Isaiah was also chopped to his back, resulting in the severing of his spine. The attorney said photographs were taken of the post-mortem examination as well as a video recording to be sent to overseas pathologists for additional examination.
Post-mortem is finished. What we have done is we have taken both video footage and still footage, which we are going to be sharing with pathologists in Canada and internationally, and hope that as a result of the images that we share, that they may be able to either confirm or add their interpretation of what happened.
And the relatives of the two young men who identified the bodies for the post-mortem examination said the way the young men met their demise was brutal and heart-aching.
Well, with me brother now, the man was sit down from back. Yes, right? The man was sit down from back, and the man chop her a linear and them thing, and then with me cousin now, yes, 3/4 of this man neck cut out body, just this, and then the man savagely like X up in head and them thing, chop you up in the head and them thing, you see? Yeah, real sad.
The father of Isaiah Henry said he does not want attacks on other persons, but he wants justice.
We as a nation cannot be fight against one another because this is going on too long. Let we don't see this thing as because black, white, or Chinese, Portuguese. Because if a black man they do this, or a Chinese man, or any man they doing this, and if it was not my family, I believe and I swear in my heart that he will have to pay the penalty. Not no other people who look like him and get a texture air like him. You understand? But the person who committed the act should pay for the crime.
The teenage cousins were last seen alive on Saturday morning when they left their home to pick coconuts in the back dam of No. 3 Village, West Coast Berbice. When they did not return home the evening, missing reports were filed with the police. Family members and other villagers launched a search the following morning and found the two lifeless bodies in the back dam of the village of Cotton Tree. One of the bodies was found partly buried with only the upper half above the ground, while the other body was discovered under a clump of bush. The Guyana Police Force has since arrested 7 persons and has indicated that others are being sought. Among those under arrest is a farm owner along with his son and 3 workers. The gruesome murder of the cousins has led to widespread protest action across the country and calls for justice. The Guyana Police Force has dispatched investigators from its Criminal Investigations Department and its Major Crimes Unit to probe the double murder. And let's tell you now that President Irfan Ali, in an address to the nation this afternoon as the protests in West Coast Berbice continued, condemned attacks on innocent citizens and their properties. The president said he spoke this afternoon with the family of the 17-year-old young man Harish Singh, who was found murdered today. He was found murdered in the No. 3 Village back dam. The president said he made a call to the teenager's family the same way he made a call to the family of the other 2 teenagers who were found murdered on Sunday. President Ali said there must be justice for all three of the teens.
The murderers and barbaric individuals not worth to be classified as humans must be brought to justice in all three instances and will be brought to justice.
The president also said those who have used the protest to attack others must also be brought to justice, and it must be made clear that seeking justice has nothing to do with criminality. Like the Home Affairs Minister, the president also sought to lay blame at the doorsteps of the opposition.
No leader can condone this. And it is in this regard that I find the statement of Joseph Harmon unhelpful to the situation. For a matter of fact, it is his statement that would have ignited the situation on the ground. Calling this a struggle against a fraudulent government and oppression.
The president wants the Ethnic Relations Commission to investigate recent statements made by the opposition leader during a visit to the Berbice region. Mr. Ali said he wants to see citizens act in a responsible manner, adding that this is the time for the country to act in a mature manner, and it is a time to bring the country together. The president said there is a need now for healing across the country. Well, with reports of persons being attacked during protest action on the west coast of Berbice, Home Affairs Minister Robeson Ben is laying blame for the situation at the doorsteps of the opposition leader and the former president. In a statement punctuated mostly by exclamation marks, Mr. Ben accused the opposition leader Joe Harmon and former President David Granger of creating what he called an atmosphere of unfounded suspicions. He said he believes the statements being made by the two have led to the widespread protests and the attacks.
Unfortunately, Messrs. Granger and Harmon of the APNU descended on the communities and in their statements and rhetoric have created an atmosphere engendering unfounded accusations, suspicions, leading to racial polarization and attacks. Further loss of life and injuries and damage to property are still on the way, and people are indeed experiencing a bad situation on all sides. The escalation in violence rests squarely at the doors of these two gentlemen and specific known political agitators of their ilk.
The opposition leader and the former president, during a visit with the parents of the murdered teenagers on Monday, called on the police to conduct a thorough investigation while also demanding an independent probe. During that visit, former President Granger also called on the police to protect the villages from attacks. The Home Affairs Minister today said the further loss of life, injuries, and property loss are now being experienced, and Granger and Harmon should be blamed.
The emergence of these political vultures and associated criminal opportunists have led to a deteriorating spiral in safety and security in the areas. Granger and Harmon bear the prime responsibility for the escalation in violence, injuries, and deaths.
The Home Affairs Minister said the police force is working to resolve what he called a clearly criminal matter in relation to the murder of the Henry cousins. He said the joint services are continuing their efforts to restore calm to the communities, and he is recommending that only emergency and essential travel should be made through the West Berbice communities, where the protests have been intensifying. During a visit to the West Coast Berbice area yesterday, the Home Affairs Minister, along with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Social Services, were blocked from entering a number of areas. They eventually made their way to the homes of the family of the two cousins who were killed in the Cotton Tree Bag Dam. The APNU AFC, in a statement this afternoon, said it condemns the killing of 17-year-old Harish Singh. The coalition said it wants the Guyana police force to leave no stone unturned in bringing his killers to justice without delay. In a statement, the party said there must be no more loss of life or injury to any Guyanese, whether they're Afro or Indo-Guyanese or member of any other ethnicity or vulnerable group. The coalition said it calls on all Guyanese not to harm anyone at any time under any circumstances, particularly when engaged in civil disobedience or any form of protest action against any of the recent gruesome killings. The coalition also said the country must strive to be brothers and sisters of one Guyana, and citizens must not turn against or harm their neighbors, villagers, or fellow citizens. The party also said it condemns all forms of violence, whether by way of provocation or retribution, adding that they need all the young men and women in Guyana to be alive and healthy to help build the nation. The coalition said violence against each other worsens the situation and is not part of the solution or the pursuit of justice. Opposition leader Joe Harmon led a group of APNU-AFC members of parliament to the West Berbice area this morning, where they met with the family of the two cousins who were brutally murdered on Sunday. During a meeting with the mother of one of the young men, Mr. Harmon said the PP civic government must ensure justice is served in the matter.
The whole country understands that justice will have to be done. Justice will have to be served for these two young men whose lives were snuffed out. Whose lives were snuffed out because of an environment which is created by the PPP that empowers people to feel that they can take lives or they can injure, they can maim, and damage people.
The opposition leader said while the incident took place in the West Berbice area, it has touched every part of the country, and people understand the hurt of the family. He also said the APNU-AFC will remain supportive of the families in their ongoing calls for justice. Mr. Harmon also raised some concern about the police investigations.
That Mr. Blanham's statements seem to be very political rather than investigative and helpful. And so I have called for him to take his hands off of this investigation. I've called for him to take his hands off. He stated, we want impartial policemen who understands that the responsibility is to bring the perpetrators to justice, whoever they may be. Whoever they may be.
As of last evening, the Guyana Police Force indicated that 7 persons were in custody in connection with the double murder. The force issued no updates today on that particular incident. Still with the situation in the West Coast Berbice area, a 34-year-old man was beaten to death this afternoon at Bath Settlement after he left his car with a shotgun and fired shots at protesters who were less than 200 feet away. The police force has identified the dead man as 34-year-old Chatterpaul Harry Paul, also known as Roy. The police statement said that around 3:45 this afternoon, he was in his motor car along the Bath Settlement Public Road when he decided to exit the vehicle with a shotgun. The police report said the man fired a shot in the air before discharging 3 rounds towards a crowd of protesters that were located about 200 feet away. The police force said as a result of his actions, he was attacked by the crowd and badly beaten. A party of policemen, after noticing the commotion, rushed across to the scene where they discovered the man's body with a number of injuries. He was taken to the Fort Wellington Hospital where doctors pronounced him dead. The national budget was presented today in the National Assembly by Minister of Works Bishop Juan Edgil. Minister Edgil reported that the country saw mixed growth last year in varying sectors, while some sectors declined. He said the government is focused on getting the country back on track as it also tackles the coronavirus pandemic. He announced a number of new measures that were previously announced by the president. And it was announced today that over $700 million will be allocated to finalizing the completion of the Infectious Diseases Hospital, which is already being used to house some COVID-19 cases.
Our intention is to start and commission the facility by the end of this month. However, given the poor planning that went into the conceptualization of this facility, we are forced to budget. Having spent $1.8 billion, we are forced to budget a further $700 million.
The budget also contains $1.8 billion, which will go towards the procurement of equipment and protective gear for health workers as they continue the fight against COVID-19.
In order to protect the public service and ensure the public services are able to continue uninterrupted, government has budgeted $1.8 billion for the procurement of PPEs for central government workers.
Edgell said the Ministry of Health will be upping its response to COVID-19. Just today, the Health Ministry reported that the country recorded 90 new COVID-19 cases, with 50 of those new cases from Region 4. Across the region is coming up next. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
We all know a strong educational foundation is a key to successful learning. Global Technology combines award-winning curriculum with innovative technology and teacher support to help students reach their potential. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how Global Technology can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
Falls, the official distributors of Castrol Marine, Mining and Power Gen lubricants in Guyana, now has in stock CRB engine oils, high-spin hydraulic oil, Vecton semi-synthetic truck oils, and Sultex cylinder oils. For the best prices, check our dealers countrywide or visit Falls Gas Station at Land of Canaan, East Bank, Demerara, or call the commercial manager on 608-4998. Castrol, it's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Across the region right now, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, says the coronavirus has hit the country's economy hard, shrinking the economy by 10%. In an interview with the Trinidad Guardian newspaper, Prime Minister Rowley said that the national budget to be presented by the Finance Minister in October must be presented in the serious scenario of managing an economy downwards without collapsing it. Trinidad and Tobago has over 2,400 cases of coronavirus. The country has recorded 39 deaths since the first case was recorded back in March. Trinidad and Tobago has had to shut down its borders, and during the start of the pandemic, it was also forced to lock down the economy, and persons were told to remain at home as part of the efforts to curb the spread of coronavirus. The Secretary General of the Caribbean Community, Erwin LaRocque, has told Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness that the margin of his victory in the September 3rd general election is a clear indication that Jamaicans are satisfied with his leadership over the past term. Holness led the ruling Jamaican Labour Party to its first ever consecutive victory in a general election since 1967, when it trounced the main opposition People's National Party by a 48-15 margin. In his message of congratulations, in which he gave the Prime Minister the assurance of CARICOM's full support, LaRocque also said Jamaicans are also satisfied with the prospects of their future, based on the policies and programs that the government has been advancing. And finally tonight, international news. The BBC reports that the US will withdraw more than a third of its troops from Iraq within weeks. Its top Middle East commander has confirmed. General Kenneth McKenzie told reporters that the troop presence would be reduced from about 5,200 to 3,000 during the month of September. Those remaining in Iraq will continue to advise and assist the Iraqi security forces in rooting out the final remnants of the jihadist group ISIS. Last month, US President Donald Trump reaffirmed that he planned to pull all troops out of Iraq as soon as possible. Trump is expected to hail a reduction of forces as progress towards his 2016 election campaign promise to disentangle the US from endless wars. The presence of US troops has also become a major issue in Iraq since the US killed top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in a drone strike in Baghdad back in January. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.